She was the villain. She was the third person in the marriage. She needed to rehabilitate her image.
You and your brother both directly asked your dad not to marry Camilla.
Yes.
Why?
We didn't think it was necessary.
Shock ripped through the courtroom. The instant Prince William stepped inside. Every whisper dropped at once. Reporters froze halfway through their notes. The judge leaned in as though the next heartbeat might rewrite royal history. William did not stride like a prince on parade. He moved like a son, carrying a secret too heavy to bear. His hands shook, yet his grip stayed tight around a plain white envelope. No crest and no ribbon, yet everyone could feel its force like thunder tucked into paper. Across the aisle, Queen Camilla looked smaller than her title ever allowed. Tears smudged her carefully set makeup, while her fingers twisted in her lap. She avoided William's eyes as if a single glance might unlock doors she had welded shut. The hush grew so thick it pressed against every wall. Leather shoes, creaked robes rustled, then nothing. William cleared his throat, and the room snapped to attention. "My mother feared this day would come," he said in a voice both soft and fierce. He set the envelope on the table, as carefully as a bomb expert lowering a live device. Cameras flared like lightning. The gavel tapped twice, yet even the judge looked almost afraid to speak. In that frozen moment, the envelope stopped being paper and turned into pure danger. William straightened, no longer heir to a throne, but protector of a legacy. He broke the seal, and every spine in the room stiffened. Diana's handwriting stared back at her son, steady, honest, and full of dread. "They are watching me, I am scared," she had written. Each word rang out like church bells calling ghosts to witness. She listed streets where shadowy cars lingered too long, and doorways where strangers watched her leave. "I do not feel safe even at home," she noted. Betrayal dripped from every line. Trusted friends had drifted too close to Charles, leaving her suddenly outside looking in. "Bit by bit they pushed me out," she wrote. A single line cracked the crowd wide open. "If I die in a car crash, do not believe it was an accident." Gasps rolled through the benches. A reporter dropped his pen. The judge sank back stunned. Camilla shut her eyes as if the words were shards of glass. William was far from finished. A bulging folder appeared beside the letter. Pages, photos, even an old cassette slid across the desk. "Mother left a trail for us," he declared. "She wrote it all, and I found it." Shock grew into a low rumble of fear. One note spoke of phone calls that cut off whenever she answered. Another detailed meetings. She was barred from within the palace she once called home. Each entry carried witness names and times. No fantasy here, only a map of intimidation. William slipped the cassette into a small recorder. Diana's voice filled the chamber, gentle yet trembling. "If something happens to me, please do not let them forget me," she pleaded. The air turned to ice. Camilla covered her mouth, stifling a sob. Even the bailiff blinked back tears. William glared at Camilla. "We forgot her once, but not again," he vowed. "This is not revenge, it is truth." His words felt like iron striking marble, forging a new resolve beneath the vaulted ceiling. The court stayed silent, waiting for the next tremor. It arrived in the form of Camilla's own heartbreak. She tried to stand, but collapsed into her seat, her body shaking. A single tear fell glittering under the harsh lights. Reporters leaned forward, desperate for every tremor. "I never wanted this," she whispered, the words barely sound, yet louder than any speech. Guilt, remorse, and fear finally rushed across her face. The royal mask cracked wide open. Her shoulders buckled under decades of rumor, now roaring like a storm. Another sob escaped, raw and human. The judge paused, unsure whether to comfort or continue. William watched her eyes full of complicated sorrow, yet firm in purpose. For a heartbeat, every barrier between them vanished, leaving only pain shared across time. The public saw not a queen and a prince, but two people bound by one woman lost too soon. Still, the story moved faster than any of them could breathe. William gathered the letter, the tapes, the photos, and braced for the next wave. He knew this fight was bigger than crowns or titles. It was about a mother whose cry for help had finally been heard. The courtroom braced as centuries of royal silence began to shatter. The future of the monarchy now wobbled on a knife edge of truth. Reporters scribbled like mad, their pens fighting the echo of Diana's prophecy. Outside rain hammered windows, as though the sky itself demanded entry. Security guards shifted uneasily, gripping radios that suddenly felt useless against the weight of memory. One spectator clutched a locket with Diana's picture, whispering a silent prayer. Another shook his head, repeating, "She tried to warn us. She tried," his voice a trembling breath. William turned page after page, each note drawing a darker picture of a princess trapped by glittering chains. She wrote a corridor she no longer trusted, of dinners that went silent when she sat. The deeper he read, the more the crowd felt the outline of a hidden monster, greed, power, and fear wrapped in velvet. When the last page fluttered down, the hush returned thicker than before. No applause and no protest, only the heavy knowledge that nothing would be the same. Every heartbeat sounded like a drum announcing the end of one era and the birth of another. No one left even when the judge called a brief recess. Chairs groaned, yet nobody stood, unable to break the spell. Beyond those oak doors, the world-weighted phones raised headlines, half-written phones buzzing for the next quake. Thunder rattled the royal timeline from the very first handshake between Diana and Camilla. That moment looked calm on camera, yet a silent fault line cracked beneath their polished smiles. Each polite nod hit a spark that would one day ignite the trial, shaking Buckingham to its bones. Aides later whispered that Diana's eyes flashed with caution, while Camilla's grin felt rehearsed. No one felt threatened then, but history swung on that brief hello. A single uneasy glance set wheels on fire. During a charity lunch in the early 80s, Diana joked about becoming the future queen, and Camilla laughed a touch too long. Cameras showed smiles, yet the lens missed a chill creeping up Diana's spine. Embarrassment tingled within her as she sensed a rival already inside her orbit. Their first joint photo for the press told a louder story. Diana leaned forward, beaming, while Camilla held back with regal composure. Diaries later revealed, Diana recalled feeling unseen beside Camilla's cool composure, felt like being an outsider in my own life. That raw note captured the seed of future conflict. Another key flashback, a dinner hosted by Charles. Camilla's quiet confidence filled the room. Diana tried to keep conversation flowing, then retreated into uneasy silence. Observers saw Charles drift toward Camilla's topics, leaving Diana adrift on polite replies. Aides whispered that this dinner was the instant Diana knew her fairy tale had a challenger. Those early gatherings were more than social niceties. They were opening moves in a slow, boiling rivalry. Behind lace curtains, ambition and insecurity circled each other like wary dancers, all orbiting Charles. That invisible tension explains the storm we witness now. Soon the two women appear together again and again at fundraisers, royal tours, even state banquets. Each stage felt like an unspoken duel. Diana's bright warmth gleamed under flashbulbs, while Camilla countered with quiet poise. The contrast-fed tabloids hungry for drama. With every shared event, Camilla edged closer to Charles. Light touches, soft laughs, whispers only they understood. Diana noticed a change, her smile slipping a little more each time. She fought to reclaim attention through playful jokes and dazzling outfits, yet media focus drifted. It felt like I was fading into the background. Diana later confided to a friend. Her heart stung as headlines screamed about a brewing love triangle. Some aides tried peace, while others fanned the flames for their own gain. One even overheard Diana mutter, "I don't want to fight, but I won't be pushed aside." That growing divide never stayed tucked behind velvet drapes. It spilled into corridors, tear-stained diaries, and strained dinner tables. Every banquet, every ribbon cutting, turned into a silent test of will. The roots of this triangle stretched back to the late 70s when Charles first met Diana. Their engagement in 1981 looked perfect to public, yet Camilla remained just out of sight. Secret phone calls and handwritten notes kept their bond alive. Friends recalled Charles laughing with Camilla in ways Diana never matched. By the wedding, Camilla's ties were already deep. Charles visited her privately before and after public events. One trusted friend said their inside jokes lit up the room, and Diana felt excluded. Late-night phone calls ended with Charles asleep on the line, leaving Diana staring at a silent receiver. Diana found Camilla's handwriting on flight manifests and reservation cards. Confrontations ended in hushed disagreements, never public, yet painfully real. Each shared laugh between Charles and Camilla spread salt on her wounds. The fairy tale glass began to crack. By 1992, those cracks burst into open fractures. Newspapers splashed with tales of secret meetings and late-night calls. Diana felt betrayal but also fierce resolve. She marched on to talk shows and declared, "I am not a victim." That defiant spirit born of heartbreak propelled her into the next brutal act, while the adults sparred William and Harry lived in a whirlwind of cheers and flashing cameras. Public life looked magical, yet behind closed doors clouds gathered. William carried the heavy weight of duty, while Harry sought fun and mischief. Both boys adored their mother, sensing her sadness in moments between parades and photo calls. Diana doubled her protectiveness. In parks and playgrounds, she knelt beside them, blocking cameras with gentle arms. She whispered comfort when palace walls echoed with arguments. The boys saw tears wiped away before every balcony wave. Their world mixed bright fairy lights with the hush that follows a storm. As Diana's pain grew, so did her fierce devotion to shield them. Every hug, every bedtime story carried an unspoken promise. No matter how loud the palace gossip, she vowed they would feel safe with her. These intertwined paths, motives, and heartbreaks now surge into the courtroom spotlight. Every early smile, every hidden tear leads us to this day, where letters, tapes, and memories collide. The next revelation might topple traditions older than the crown itself. Stay close, because the timeline ahead is as sharp as shattered glass and just as dangerous. Trust was the password Diana repeated to her sons every single day. "If something feels wrong, come straight to me," she urged while kneeling eye to eye with William and Harry. She prayed they would grow brave, not paranoid, grounded, not trapped. Yet the palace air crackled with secret pressure, and the boys absorbed it in opposite ways. William held the tension inside, choosing tight order military drills, perfect posture. Harry rebelled, loud jokes, wild stunts, chasing any rush that promised escape. Smiles and sorrow often walked hand in hand under royal chandeliers. Flashbulbs caught shining grins, while hidden corridors echoed with slammed doors. Tabloids milked the triangle drama until the brothers could taste headlines in their cereal. Diana countered that storm with unconditional love. "I adore you always, no matter what you do," she whispered during bedtime hugs. Her words wrapped around them like armor meant to stop gossip from slicing their hearts. Then came 1997, and the crash that shattered the fairy tale. William grieved in silence, tight jaw, unblinking eyes. Harry roared through grief like a hurricane, overturning every rule placed in his path. Both carried scars that glowed unseen beneath royal uniforms. Fast forward to the courtroom. William stood not as heir, but as Diana's son. He opened that white envelope with hands that once clutched his mother's hand. When he spoke of hidden tapes, he was not attacking, he was mourning. He wanted answers for her, and perhaps for the frightened child still living inside. William did not gamble on one letter alone. Deep in locked storage rooms, he unearthed diaries, cassette reels, even dusty photo logs sealed by palace clerks who believed darkness was safer than daylight. He pushed past red ribbons, broke brittle wax seals, and followed his mother's breadcrumbs one trembling clue at a time. Some recordings played like ghost stories whispered after midnight. Diana detailed unmarked cars, tailing her home, tires mysteriously punctured, footsteps echoing outside her apartments. On one reel, her voice cracked, "I do not want to die." The court fell silent as if oxygen fled the building. William spread maps on a long oak table matching every note to dates on Charles's public tours and Camilla's private meetings. Each scribble aligned with chilling accuracy. "This is proof of fear, not fantasy," he told the judge while cameras blinked like nervous eyes. Pages once hidden became open wounds. Lawyers shuffled transcripts. The gallery gasped. The palace press team fumbled for words that would not arrive. In that hour, William sliced through decades of denial with facts frozen in ink. Whispers rose among spectators. Could Camilla have changed his fate? Private letters revealed regret after Diana's funeral. "I never meant harm, yet I failed to help," Camilla wrote in sorrow-tinged script. Diana's own diary had begged for kindness. "I hoped for friendship, but felt cold distance instead." One aide later sighed. "A gentle word at the right moment might have saved a life." It remains the ache that haunts every corridor where their footsteps once overlapped. William's evidence crashed into public screens, and the planet reacted like a struck drum. Headlines screamed royal bombshell. Diana's nightmare was real. Social feeds exploded with hashtags True for Diana and Camilla Confession. Fans left flowers below palace, gates memories blooming brighter than grief. Conspiracy theories raced beside heartfelt tributes. Some shouted about cover-ups, while others praised William's courage and Camilla's tears. Across living rooms, people debated power secrets and the price of silence. Parliament members demanded open inquiries. Legal scholars questioned royal immunity. Could hidden staff face charges? Would sealed archives finally open? The monarchy found itself wobbling on a very public fault line. Inside those guarded walls, staff schedules shifted. Camilla's public visits paused. Internal reviews launched as advisors scrambled to trace who stored which file and under whose orders. The shock rippled across Commonwealth nations where royalty once felt untouchable. Back at court, the judge called a recess, yet the tension refused to break. Protesters and supporters crowded the streets chanting for truth. Petitioners handed over stacks of signatures, seeking independent oversight. Reporters kept cameras rolling, convinced the next breath might become history. Camilla prepared a written statement coached carefully by counsel. William sat still yet battle-ready. Both understood that one wrong answer could topple thrones or restore faith. The stakes were nothing less than legacy. When proceedings resumed, witnesses will testify, tapes will resound, and archives may burst wide open. Royal walls might crumble into dust or reinforce with new transparency. The story holds its breath, waiting for the next heartbeat. Stay tuned, because every voice crack, every paper rustle, every question shouted under oath could decide whether justice rises or secrecy wins yet again. This chapter is far from over, and the final gavel has not fallen.